Hello, my loves. Today, I thought it would be interesting to look at and discuss some deep cuts that are hated by fans. Before we start, I just want to say that this isn't some scientific study or anything. These are just songs I tend to see getting dragged the most, whether it be online or in real life conversations. I looked mostly at the Popheads rankings of these artists to see the lowest rated tracks, and I also asked y'all a couple weeks ago for your opinions, so that's mostly what I'm going off of here. Again, there wasn't some deep methodology for this. These are just the tracks that I see hate for, and thought it would be interesting to discuss the reasons why they're disliked. Let's start with Ms. Taylor Swift. I got multiple comments saying Stay 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 off of Red was generally agreed to be one of her weaker tracks, and I can see why. It's pretty juvenile with its lyrics and production. I even remember seeing a comment one time saying the music of Stay 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 sounds like the royalty-free background music from a mid-2010s YouTube vlogger, and I think about that statement very often because it is so accurate. It definitely sounds like something you'd hear in a 2015 crafting or makeup video. It looks like most people's problem with this song is just that it's immature and doesn't have her best songwriting, and I do get that. It absolutely pales in comparison to most of the other tracks on Red. But I don't know, I always kinda liked Stay Stay Stay. I'll agree it is kinda childish, but I think that's the charm of it. Red, as an album, swings wildly in its emotional tone, intentionally so, as it's reflective of her hot and cold feelings in relationships. So I think having a cutesy song about how she and her boyfriend break up to make up definitely fits perfectly well. I think this one may have just crossed a line of immaturity for certain Swifties though. Taylor is obviously well known for her songwriting, so to have a song with the lyrics like Stay Stay Stay, you think that it's funny when I'm mad, 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 probably didn't sit well with a lot of people, given how the bar for her songwriting is already so high. Red also has another fan-hated deep cut, Girl at Home, which I'd argue is definitely worse. I think it might get a little less flack online since it was a bonus track, and Stay 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 is part of the album proper, but I still agree it's one of her weakest, mainly just because the chorus. It just does not have a good melody in my opinion, and the writing sounds kind of lazy to me. Not that it was, but the line, "Don't look at me, you got a girl at home and everybody knows that, just sounds like something a high schooler would write, I'm sorry to say it. Even the verses are really simple, which isn't a bad thing in and of itself, but again, it's just the fact that Taylor is such a strong lyricist that it makes tracks like these ones stick out like a sore thumb among the rest of her discography. While I don't think either song is bad, I could definitely see why they're not the most beloved among Swifties. Alright, next up, Lady Gaga's most hated deep cut has to be Jewels and Drugs from Art Pop. In 2018, it got last place in the Popheads ranking of Gaga songs, and it feels like anytime it's brought up, it's usually as a joke. This one was pretty daring for Gaga, since it's mainly a hip-hop song, with features from Twista, T.I., and Too Short. Most of the criticism I see for it is from people saying that the features overtake Gaga herself, and that she has no business doing a hip-hop song in general, which I think is honestly kind of unfair. Gaga is a wildly experimental artist who blends a lot of genres together, so I don't see why she can't jump on a hip-hop track. She's also not trying to be something she's not in the song. She's still giving her usual theatric performance. It just seems like some people didn't think she worked on a track like this. I could see why it's jarring to have Gaga on a hip-hop track. I mean, the singer of Just Dance and Born This Way doesn't particularly strike me as someone who would be in that genre. But I don't know, I think Jewels and Drugs is just really fun. I think the fusion of Gaga's over-the-top style with the trap production definitely makes the song memorable. Though I can agree, maybe she didn't need 3 features. It doesn't feel like you're listening to a Gaga song for the bulk of it, which definitely seems to be where most people's problem stems from. But just because it is so different doesn't make it bad in my opinion. I get that people don't go to Gaga for rappers, but I think for one song it's fine, and it fits the chaotic atmosphere of art pop pretty well. It's funny, anytime I see this song being discussed, people either love it or they hate it, and there's never an in-between. I personally don't love it, but I don't hate it either. It's a middle-of-the-road Gaga song for me, but I guess I could see why certain Little Monsters wouldn't love a track where it feels like she's fighting for room, and that she's in the genre that she doesn't really belong in. Moving on to the song Bird Supreme, A Mariah Carey song that I've seen get a lot of hate is Did I Do That from Rainbow, and it's for similar reasons to Jewels and Drugs. The song features Mystical and Master P pretty prominently, and I will say Rainbow in general is one of my lesser favorite Mariah albums because it does have so many features. And it's not like having features is a bad thing in and of itself, but I do think Mariah ends up getting a little drowned out and lost in the mix at certain points, and this song is definitely no exception. I think what doesn't help this one is the production itself, which is very strange, especially with those really noisy, plucky strings. I've seen comments saying the beat itself is dissonant with Mariah's voice, which makes the song sound messy and rushed. Rainbow itself was a pretty rushed project, so who knows, maybe Mariah and her producers didn't have enough time to polish this one up. I like Did I Do That, but it is one of my lesser favorite Mariah tracks. I don't go back to it because I don't think it has a great melody, and it sounds kind of meandering, like it's trying to build to something that it never really gets to. I will say I love Mariah's attitude in it. She is dragging this man for filth, and some of the lines are really funny, and you can really hear the pettiness in her voice, which we all know Mariah is the queen of petty, so it's very funny. I've come to appreciate the song a bit more over time. It's kind of a mess, but I have to commend her for doing something so strange. It's one of her wackier tracks, and at the very least, it does make the song stand out, but I also understand why it doesn't work for certain people. Next up, Beyonce's most hated song looks to be Daddy from Dangerously in Love. I like this song just fine, but I totally get why it's hated. Daddy is an extremely corny song, obviously about her father, Matthew Knowles, who used to be her manager before she fired him in 2010. The whole track sounds like something that he would have written, and then gave to Beyonce to sing for him, especially the line, "I want my unborn son to be like my daddy. I want my husband to be like my daddy." Like, wow, that is dramatic and kind of creepy. I think even if you took out B's rocky relationship with her dad, and just looked at the song without the context, it's still way too cloyingly sweet to take super seriously. It sounds like something a second grader would write for Father's Day. It just has this wide-eyed innocence to it, which granted is kind of endearing, but yeah, it does make for an insanely cheesy song. I also don't think it helps that B herself projects this image of strength and independence, but Daddy is this wicked saccharine love song that doesn't really represent who she is as an artist. And it's not like she doesn't do sentimental songs at all, but this one just crosses the line into pure hammy territory. Like I said, I don't dislike this song, but I get why it's kind of a joke to people. And speaking of jokes, the default bad Britney Spears song since 2013 has always been Chillin' With You, and it's not super hard to see why. This one was from her album Britney Jean, which already is the least liked album in her fandom, but this one gets extra hate for having her sister Jamie Lynn. I don't want to get into that whole mess, but suffice it to say, Jamie Lynn isn't particularly beloved among Britney fans, so a track featuring her is bound to get hate, especially nowadays with Britney herself being more vocal about her fractured relationships with her family. I actually think a duet with the two of them has the potential to be really cute. And yeah, I know Jamie's been getting a lot of hate now, but they're still sisters, and I think there's still love between them. The problem with Chillin' With You, though, is that it is just a mess. The verses are really pretty, airy, and light, but then there's this crazy beat switch up in the chorus that comes seemingly out of nowhere and doesn't mesh with the rest of the song at all. It's not like a song can't have crazy switch ups like that, but this one just does not work. It's too much, it's too ridiculous sounding, and it doesn't match the energy of the song, which is literally just about Britney and Jamie hanging out with each other, having a relaxing time, sipping wine, and laughing together. So having this intense chorus hitting you over the head with its repetitiveness just does not line up with the atmosphere they're trying to build. It doesn't help that it might not even be Britney singing on it either. Britney Jean as a whole is infamous for allegedly having Maya Marie singing damn near most of it, and I'm not going to make a bold claim like that for certain right now, but as a Britney stan for over 10 years, I could say I think a lot of Britney Jean is Maya, and the song is almost entirely her. There's something darkly humorous about how this album was marketed as being her most personal, only for Brit to not show up for the collab with her sister. And even if she did show up, the song itself really still isn't that good. Without the crazy beat switch up, it would have just been an okay song at best. There really was potential for this one to be alright, but unfortunately, we got what we got. That's gonna do it for this video, but I'd really love to do a follow-up, or even make this a regular series. It's really interesting to look at why fans dislike certain tracks, since it really reveals what fandoms look for out of their artists. So let me know some of the deep cuts that y'all dislike in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.